right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Matt, Play Fast Football. I'm excited to be back here. It's been a couple weeks since we've done a video. With the start of summer, I always go on my trip to New York to play in 2 golf outings while I'm up there. Extremely busy. Met with some football people. I was up there, got a chance to see my sister. Unfortunately, couldn't see everybody, but busy 10 days, 2 member guests. But I am back. We are ready to go. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about R3 high defense and what I think is next. Studying the trends, understanding how people are attacking us, and what we need to do to continue to develop in our R3 high package. All right, as always, check out some of our partners. We've got GameStrat, sideline replay company. We used them for the last 5 or 6 years, the last 2 schools as a head coach previously, and now at Bishop Kenny High School. Love GameStrat, love the service, love the customer support. Excellent products. See why everybody's making a change over to GameStrat. Dome Headwear, which is the headwear company we use. Every school I've ever been at, going back about 16 years, so all 3 head coaching stops, and now at Bishop Kenny, obviously Play Fast, custom Bishop Kenny fitted hat, stock hats suck. Make sure you check out the guys at Dome. Baker Sports, who outfits us in all of our coaches' gear. So this is our new, just signed a Nike contract, so this is a new Nike shirt from Baker Sports. And they do everything for us, from our spirit packs, our uniforms, our coaches gear, sideline gear, Friday night gear. They also do some fan gear for us, so make sure you check out Baker Sports. Fly Route Drones, one of the newest partners we picked up. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. We use drones for everything we do in practice, everything we do in 7-on-7. We got a 7-on-7 tomorrow. We'll take the drone with us. All right, as long as it is legal for us to use it, we will use the drone. Still can't use them in Florida sometimes in games, but in practices and 7-on-7 stuff that we do, we use the drones. Absolutely unbelievable coaching view that I love, and I use it on my Patreon site. Go to their website, www.flyroute.com. Use the promo code PLAYFAST, get 20% off your drone pilot certification. Brandtek USA, all right, another one of our newest partners that we picked up. They do custom sublimation. I don't know if you can see, but those are my custom Play Fast sneakers that they made for me. I've got 2 windbreakers that they made for me. They've got energy drinks for halftime and recovery. They've got disinfectant sprays for your locker room and your weight room and some of your uniforms to avoid staph infection. They also distribute the Q collar for concussion prevention. They also are in the fundraising business with a platform that they use in the fundraising. So Swiss Army Knife, great company located in Wisconsin. They made me custom sneakers. They can make custom sneakers for your program, slides, Crocs, you name it, they do it. All right, Difference USA, the ultimate striking machine. Thousands of reps, don't need a partner. You want to strike violently, you have got to practice striking violently. They go right in your weight room, set up on your current racks. Good for in-season, off-season training. Sting8740@gmail.com. If you are interested in any of the clinics that we've done, any videos that I've done in the past on any of our Zoom clinics, got 10 or 11 different clinics. I've packaged them and sold them to people for $10 a piece. 20 hours of football, Noel Mazzone, defense coordinator from Colgate, offensive line coach from West Alabama, a couple head coaches here locally in Florida, my head coach here at Bishop Kenny. Bunch of different topics. If you're interested in that, email me, or if you just need to ask me a question or get in contact with me, sting8740@gmail.com. So most of you know the last 3 or so, 2 to 3 years, 2 years full-time, 3 years part-time, we have been a type 3 high defense. We love everything about the defense, okay? And now what we're starting to find out is what teams are doing to attack it and where we need to make some adjustments, all right? Where we really love our R3 high package, all right, is what I would call, okay, by 1 formations, okay? So any formation that is by 1 on the backside. So 3 by 1, 2 by 1, it could be, all right, 20 personnel, 2 back like this, all right? It could be 20 personnel with a sniffer, all right? It could be pro, 2 back, all right? Anything that is by 1, it could be 3 by 1, all right? Any formations that are by 1, we absolutely love our R3 high stuff, and here's the reason why. If formations are by 1, that means we will always end up, all right, with an overhang on the passing strength side, and it doesn't matter whether it's the corner or the safety, depending on the support structure, we always have some type of D-gap fitter on the weak side, okay? Which allows the middle safety to be an alley runner based on how we're reading them, how we're playing, what the sets are, what runs we're getting, right? We've got overhang to each side, so I'll drop our simplest one. When we play sky coverage and the safety's down and the corner's back to the single, we now have overhangs to each side, so we can set an edge to each side and we have an alley runner to each side. So any formations that are by one, we absolutely, absolutely love our 3 high defense. All right, it's been very good to us. We've played it to all formations the last couple of years. All right, but the trend is now saying, and the trend that I am seeing, okay, is people are getting out of these by one formations and they are attacking us with what I would call by 2 formations. Okay, so what do I mean by 2 formations? Well, 2 by 2. So what teams are starting to do to us is they're starting to give us a lot of twin sets with tight end flanker on the backside. Okay, so what that does on the backside now, if we were to keep an overhang down on the backside to give us an overhang to each side, okay, the middle safety is fitting off a 3 who is actually the tailback in the backfield. The issue we start to have if we keep an overhang weak, especially with the ball in the middle of the field, all right, is if 3 was on the strong side here, and let's just say 3 pushed, and that brought the middle safety to the strong part of the coverage, how are we going to handle the potential of 2 verticals with the ball in the middle of the field on the backside if we have a drop-down overhang player? Okay, do we have to midpoint that? Or do we have enough room? Is the corner going to be able to midpoint 1 and 2? Okay, if we don't or can't handle that and we've got to play more of a lock version, all right, which a lot of 4-2-5 teams, a lot of play. This formation gives a lot of defenses issues, all right, and I'll tell you the adjustment that we are trending to, that we are going to make, that I think helps us a little bit, all right. But if we had to lock the safety in the corner, well, now what the issue is, can we support runs? All right, obviously the safety's playing man off a tight end. If the tight end blocks, okay, the tight end blocks, the safety's going to add himself, right? It's very similar to how 4-2-5 teams do it. Very similar to if you were in a post theory off a 3 and 3 didn't go vertical, you would try and gain that safety back on that side, right? So that we're in a man-to-man demeanor so that if we get verticals, we can cover it, okay? The only other way for us to do that is we have to bump the will outside so that we can play quarters, and we put the safety inside, but now that leaves us with a 3-1 box to a 3-man surface, okay? In the playoff game that we played last year, the team came out almost exclusively in 2x2, 30 personnel, all right, with, or however you want to, 12 personnel, right, depending on the body types, either 2 tight ends or 2 fullback bodies, and a tailback with 2 wideouts, okay? So the trend we started seeing is these by 2 formations, all right? And the by 2 formations give us an issue, all right, with the ball, especially in the middle of the field, okay? Middle of the field, because it's very hard for us to play sky, cloud theories with a midpoint deal, with the ball in the middle, with number 2 being a tight end and number 1 being removed. There's almost no way you can midpoint those. Then you're going to have to possibly carry a vertical with an inside linebacker, a lot of issues that you run into. You end up having to lock it man-to-man, okay? So it's an issue that a lot of defenses that are split field, that are quarters-based and 2x2 with twins to one side, all right, tight end to the other, all right? The other issue, all right, or the thing that we started to do is you set the nickel, all right, you set the nickel to one of the sides, all right, when we were getting this, let's just go back to this twin set. By rule, the nickel wants to set himself to 2 speed. All right, the adjustment that we've made from time to time is if we are getting attacked run side, 3-man surface, we would set the nickel away from the speed, which allowed us to play quarters to that side. Okay, now to the 2 open, we could still walk the will and play palms to 2 open. All right. The Mike stayed in the box, so again, it's a 3-1 box, but we're gaining a quarter safety and an overhang to the tight end, and now the middle safety plays off 3. So it gets us back into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-man fits, all right, and then an 8 defender extra if you want to, all right, include the safety that's playing quarters on the tight end. Why? Because there's an overhang. Nickel is to the tight end side. That safety can play all right, his read coverage, his quarters coverage to the tight end because he has the overhang. When I set the nickel to the passing strength, it's very difficult for us to do that unless we bump the will. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to get a very similar box, all right, that we had the other way around when we bumped the will, all right? But now we've got the nickel set to the run strength, okay, still giving the appearance of that 3-1 box. So even when we made this adjustment, it's the same problem. I've got a 3-1 box the same way if I bump the will. Okay, so we started getting into a world where, okay, well, to avoid that, somehow the will's got to stay in the box. When the will stays in the box, what's the issue I have? I still have these by 2 receivers out here. I only have 2 players to handle that. How am I going to do that, especially if it's 2, all right, if the ball's in the middle and they have all that room to work? Very difficult to play cover 2 in the middle of the field in high school. Very difficult to play sky and midpoint with the corner, depending on the splits of 1 and 2. So even when we made this adjustment to leave the Mike and the Will in the box to give us that heavier 5-man box, it still left us with the by 2 issue. Okay, so what we found out, all right, was our 3 high was starting to be attacked by a bunch of 2x2 tight end orientated, all right, tight end orientated formations. Because when teams were 10 personnel, and it was 2x2 removed, all right, we had no issue with that whatsoever. We played palms to both sides. We left the light box theory. Middle safety fit off the back. We had no issues with that. Where we started to have issues, especially because we're a little bit smaller, all right, is when they started attaching tight ends away from speed. We had a hard time playing this box versus that look. So we had to get to a world where we got back into this box. Well, when we get back into that box, we then have that by 2 issue. Okay? So, here's the answer for us. All right? Here's the answer, and here's what's next for us in our defensive progression. Our 3 high package is basically going to become almost check with me. Our base defense is going to become check with me. Okay? Anything that is by 1, we're going to play our 3 high defense. Okay? So again, anything that is by 1. So the middle safety comes out and he only sees 1 receiver. There's 1 receiver on the side. We know that we are going to play our base deal every day of the week. We absolutely love it. Okay, and again, why do we love it? I'm going to get an overhang to each side. If it's by 1, 3x1, 2x1, all right, I'm going to get an overhang to each side. The middle safety can run the alley. We absolutely love it. Okay, so camp rules would be by 1 formations, tight 3 high. Okay, by 2 formations, tight 3-4 2 high. So now any formation that becomes by 2, the auto adjustment is going to be the middle safety is going to go away from the nickel and play the apex overhang away from the nickel, which is going to make us a 3-14. Now, what's that going to allow us to do? We're going to keep the same tight front box for the Mike and the Will. The Mike and the Will are not going to leave the box. Okay? The Mike and the Will are going to stay in the box. Same tight front, so the Mike and the Will can now fit A to C regardless of by 1 or by 2 formations. We're not moving the Will from the box. We're not adjusting. We're not bumping. We're staying with that same 3-2 box. And they can fit runs over and over again in that theory, in our base defense, the same way we want to fit them. Okay? So the camp rule gets built in by 1, tight 3 high. By 2, all right, tight 3-4, 2 high defense. Now, some of the issues, all right, that we got to start thinking about now in each one of those deals. What are our motion adjustments going to be? All right? What are our motion adjustments going to be? Because now when we're in a 2 high world, if we get motion, we have to understand so that motion, now if that goes that way, we have to understand how to handle that because it's different than how we handle motions when we are 3 high with the middle safety sitting in the middle of the field. Okay? But I basically want to create a system with our base defense. And again, the way the game evolves, All right, it's kind of the same thing on offense, right? Offense has check with me systems. They have things that they do. Not always formations. It's more the play calls, runs or passes, 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 runs, whatever it may be. I'm going to build a check with me defense based off of formations. Not necessarily personnel groups, okay? Not necessarily personnel groups, but formations. By one, by two. And we're going to have a standard rule that we are playing 3 high to every by one formation until we cannot. Every by two formation, we're playing 3-4, 2 high, base defense, right? So again, this is camp rules base defense. This doesn't talk about movements. This doesn't talk about drop 8. This doesn't talk about pressures. This is your base defensive package, camp rules, day 1, let's roll. What are we doing? Okay, so the onus is then on me. I've got to be able to teach a middle safety how to be an apex defender, and I got to teach a middle safety how to be a 3 high defender. Right? That's the position I coach, so I'm okay with that. I can get that done. All right, so he's got a few more things on his plate. So what does that mean when kids are younger? All right, we have to be able to ID who we think is going to play that spot. Okay? It's got to be athletically, it's got to be physically, and it's got to be mentally. Okay? So athletically, coverage part. Can they handle being a 3 high safety? Physically, are they going to stick their nose in there and fit runs? Mentally, can they handle being middle safety high and overhang low? So now when we identify our defense, so we just got to look at some of our freshmen coming in. All right, I've only been here 3 days now, but they've been in here for about 7 days now. I was absent last week. I was up in New York, couldn't see him. So now what I got to do in our defense is I got to identify this guy. Okay? Who is the next guy? Who do we want to build in that position? Okay? How do we want to build that position? Because if we were just a 3-4 team and we said, you know what? Kind of getting tired of how teams are doing stuff to us. 3 high, all right, is good versus what it's good for. It's not good versus other stuff. If we were just a 3-4 team, I'd be identifying it completely different. If we were a 3-4 team, or maybe even a 3-3 team with a nickel, the first thing I'd be trying to identify, all right, who's playing the weak side jack backer? That's going to be the dude that we need to make plays. Okay? What are we going to do is this going to be a Sam, 3-4, or is this going to be a nickel, 3-3? Now, why is that important, you say? Sam or nickel defines how we play 3-by-1 formations. 3 safeties with a nickel, we have more options. 2 safeties, 3-4 personnel, 3-by-1, very limited options. Not that we can't play it, it's just that our options get limited. So you have to know that going in. So if we were a standard 3-4 team, and we said, look, you know what? The way people are attacking our 3 high, I don't think we can play 3 high anymore. We're a 3-4 team. First spot I identify, who's the jack? Who's the Lawrence Taylor? Who's the James Harrison? Who's the guy? Who's that guy that is coming 85, 90% of the time, and when he drops, he's a curl 5 player? Who is that guy? Okay, first thing we would identify. I don't need to find this position anymore, right? That position's out the window. I now got to identify who's the jack. Then I need to identify, do we have enough bodies to play 5-spoke secondary with a nickel, or do we need to play a 4th linebacker? Okay, if we play a 4th linebacker, how are we going to handle 3-by-1? Right? So if we were truly 3-4, those would be the questions. Those would be the dilemmas, the things we have to come up with. If we want to be 3 high, morphing to 3-4 by 2, all right, which is the way we are moving. All right, if we want to keep the 3 high stuff that morphs into 3-4 and by 2 formations, now as a coach in my program, I know the first thing I'm going to identify, find me that. Okay? All right, who can think, who can run, who can tackle. Okay, who is that guy? Is it a linebacker body type that's a little bit smaller but he's physical? Is it a safety body type? All right, that can cover but he's physical enough to stick his nose in there and be the run. Okay, and if we want to morph it into 3-4, can he be a weak side overhang? Now, if he's a weak side overhang, I don't know how much in this package he's going to be doing that. He'll have to do it some because you got to present that dilemma to the offense. All right? If we were a true 3-4 team, that guy that's playing the jack, he'd be doing that all the time. In my personnel, 3 high, morphing to 3-4, if it's this kid, okay, I don't know how much I want to do that with him. Depends on who it is, depends on the body type. Last year, could have done that all we wanted to because that kid is now getting ready to enroll at Navy, 6'1", 190 pounds. He could have did that for us. We had that luxury. Okay? So now as we morph the 3 high into the 3-4, is this a kid that can do both? If he can't do both, then what ends up happening is, all right, if he can't do both, then when we go to this package, all right, when we go to the 3-4 stuff, he becomes really just a dropper and a coverage guy. He's not a guy we're going to send off the edge. He's not that weak side 3-4 outside linebacker. Right? Now, the other dilemma is when we go, if we go 3-4 and that's the jack, okay, and he's going to do that, well then what we end up losing is the jack probably is not the middle safety. So if we wanted to choose to go to the 3-4 route, right? So one of the things you look at is, well, coach, if that's the way you're getting attacked, well, then just be a 3-4 defense and it handles both of those deals. I don't like some of the 3-4 stuff to standard by 1 formations. I don't love it as much to standard 3 by 1. I like the 3 high because it makes us different. It makes us unique. It puts that thought in people's minds of how they want to attack us. So I want the ability in my 3 high to also be able to play 3-4 2 high. That to me is what's next in defense. All right, but when you start thinking about it, how do we find that personnel? Okay, if I had a guy that is every bit of this and he's every bit of that, well then that's the perfect world. And last year we were blessed, we could have done that. All right, so if I had last year's personnel moving into this year, that's exactly what we would do, but that kid has gone to Navy. I really don't have that replacement for him. The replacement that I have for him right now is really more safety type, and I don't know if I love him off the edge. Okay? Now, the body that I really love here, okay, is not that. So, current dilemma that we have right now is how are we going to blend and morph these two things? Okay? So, my first thought is, I think that jack becomes the Sam. I think the middle safety, when he becomes the 3-4 component, I think the middle safety is a coverage guy. And more often than not, we bring the Sam from the field and we would rotate and play some version of 3 deep. So we would be more of a field reduction type team, meaning the Sam off the edge from the field more so than the middle safety from the boundary. Right? If we did away with the 3 high, I would play the middle safety as a nickel, I would find the jack, and we would be a 3-4 boundary reduction team. Jack is coming 90% of the time, and we're boundary reduction. Okay, and then obviously he's out of the equation. So, the evolution for us is I am going to find a way that I blend and I morph those 2 theories. Okay, and then I am going to look at incoming players. Can I find one guy that's the middle safety and the jack? And if I can't, all right, if I find a really good middle safety, he becomes a coverage guy in the 3-4 adjustment. Or if I find a really stud jack, we become a 3-4 team and we don't play 3 high. Okay, so for us, the philosophy of our 3 high stuff is morphing to where we can play 3 high, 3-4 at any time we want. The body type that we have at middle safety is going to dictate what we play and how we play it. okay? But I'm not going to sit there and continue to play 3 high to 2 by 2 and say that we're okay when teams are now starting to attack us this way. Camp rules, we're going to be 3 high. Now this is, again, right now the personnel we have. Camp rules, 3 high by 1, 2 high by 2. If there's 2 out there, the middle safety becomes a coverage guy, and we will become more of a field reduction team. We'll send a nickel or the Sam off the edge more than we ever sent the middle safety off the edge from the weak side. So when we're in the 3-4 package in by 2 sets, we're more of a field reduction team. The Sam will come and we'll spin to some type of 3D. If we drop 8, all right, and we don't send the Sam, now with the middle safety as a coverage guy, all right, for us, and we have Sam and middle safety, overhang, overhang, balanced 3-4 defense, true 3-4 defense, and we are good to go. Okay, so to me, the game is trending to where if you're a 3 high team, you better have a 2 by 2 answer. Our 2 by 2 answer is placing an overhang away from the nickel. All right, and again, if I can find the right guy, the middle safety is going to be the one that does that. If I cannot find that guy, then maybe it's going to be more difficult for us to carry our 3 high stuff. But right now, we are fully dead set on staying 3 high, morphing to 2 high, 3-4. So we're going to find the right body types, and that's my job right now over the summer. Where do I put the pieces where they need to be? How do I find the kids at the JV level and the varsity level that can handle what we're asking them to handle? And then if they're not the exact piece, how do I fit the scheme around that? Okay, so if my middle safety can't come off the edge, then in by 2 formations, he's going to be the dropper, and we'll send, all right, when we want to send a guy, a 4th, we'll send the Sam off the edge more so to become a field reduction team. So you always got to study the trends, guys. You got to know how to move forward. I think 3 high makes us unique. It makes us a little bit different. I love it in by 1 formations. I love it versus 10 and 20 personnel. Some of the 12 stuff and the by 2 formations we're seeing, not so good. Teams have answers. I got to have an answer. This is the way we're going. I appreciate everything you guys do for Play Fast Football. Thanks for watching all the videos. Still trending upwards. I put something out on Twitter yesterday. We are up 9% over the last year, over 415,000 views the last 365 days. Still trending up. Subscribers trending up. Everything is going in the right direction, and we only want to build more on that. As always, hit that subscribe button. Turn your notifications on. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you like or don't like this video. Ask me questions about either what I'm trying to do with that, how you guys do it. If you play a similar structure, let me know how you do it. Let me know how you identify your personnel. As always, when you leave a message, it helps me. Your comments help me. You have the right to comment. Video got posted. If you're in the YouTube world and you post a video, you better be able to deal with the comments that are coming. Positive, negative, thank you for watching. You have every right to comment. I try to respond to every comment that I can see. All right, again, check out our partners. Thanks for sponsoring Play Fast Football and being a part of what we do. Sorry I've been gone for so long, but I am back at it, full tilt, ready to go. Shorts every 3 or 4 days in the morning, longer videos every 2 to 3 days or every 2 to 3 times a week, and everything that we got going on Patreon. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. Thanks for being here. Sorry I've been gone so long, but we're back, and I'll see you next time.